Hello! I'm just doing two things. Yes, I'm streaming on a Monday night, which is particularly unusual, but I want to test OBS after that horrific problem I had last night on last night's stream, and I thought I'd do a bit of a Mads mailbag because I've had a few things turn up today as well, and this will give me a chance to test the streaming is actually working and share with you some stuff. So hello, it's a Monday night. Rather unusual for a stream, I know. I hope you're all well. I want to apologise for the problems we had. Hello, so of course, people rolling in already. Probably caught a few people out. But yeah, I just want to really... Ooh, lag. I just want to really make sure it's behaving. And for those who watched the stream last night, you'd have seen we've had some problems. And I think I've tied it down to some quirks within OBS. And this isn't software streaming. We're currently using NVINC again. And for those who were listening, I did a complete PC rebuild a couple of months ago. And I did something which may have contributed to my problems. And that was, whilst I reinstalled OBS, I dragged in all of the folders and profiles. And in doing that, I've realized I've dragged in a bunch of things like presets that are no longer used. And having done a bit of digging into the error that I had in OBS, it's very common for that to be caused by out-of-dated or unused presets. So what I've done this evening is I haven't reinstalled OBS. I have done a complete driver clean and reinstallation of the NVIDIA drivers, and I have then cleansed OBS of all unneeded profiles. I have a lot of stuff in OBS that I don't use anymore. You know, I make a change to do something on a video and I forget to remove it. So I've cleaned OBS out completely, reset all of the settings, got rid of unused plugins as well, because the plugins is very common, and hopefully this will solve the issue, and I just want to really give it a chance for that. But more than anything, I'll do a quick 20 minutes or so and we will talk about some stuff that's arrived today from China. I'm going to talk about this, which is my iPhone 15 Pro Max 500 gig, which I am returning. I'm sending it back. I got it on launch day and I'm a bit disappointed. So she's going back, and I will talk a bit about why that is in a minute. And I've also received some filament, which has made me laugh a little bit, from eSun. Because eSun reached out to me and said, would you be interested in taking a look at some of our fast filaments for the Bamboo and Creality printer? And I was like, yes. And they sent me one spool. Now, I don't expect a lot, but I was expecting more than one spool. Just to go, yeah, that's like, right, okay, so I've got to review a single spool of filament. Yeah. Yeah, that cool. Look, 3 I'd have not even batted an eyelid, but 1 makes me think, I think it's going to be a short video, I can promise you that. So, anyway, we're going to do a bit of Mads mailbag. And before we get into the drone stuff, while the stream is running, yes, I'm streaming tonight to do a test stream to see how this is working, to make sure it's behaving and things like that. And I am going to talk about this quickly, and that's my 15 Pro Max 512 gig. I ordered it on the launch day. Now, just to give everyone I am an iPhone user. Before all of the Android people come out and tell me how wrong I am, I've been an iPhone user since day one. I have owned not every iPhone now because I have skipped some generations. I owned every iPhone up to the first, up to about the 6 or 7, and then I started skipping. And I even imported the first iPhone into the UK from the US. Now, my current iPhone is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. I've had it from day one, so it's coming up to 2 years old. If I go on the overhead, it's almost 2 years old. This is the 256 gig. I think this is a phenomenal phone. Had it nearly 2 years. It's in really... I think it's in decent nick, okay? But there's a few marks on the screen. I got a screen protector on, which you can't see. I'm a bit disappointed that the case has caused a few marks on the stainless banding at the side. If you can see that pitting there, that's caused by the case. There's a little bit down there as well. A bit frustrating. And it's the same on the back. You can see there. Can you see those dots? But overall, look, this phone is in very, very good condition. Okay, it's almost 2 years old, so it's coming up to the end of my Apple Care. My Apple Care on this runs out in about a month, and I bought it with that. And I just got caught up in the new launch, and as I was coming to the end of this one, I pay for it monthly. I don't go through contract. I go directly to Apple. And I just thought, I'll carry on. And I ordered it. For those who haven't seen it, we'll take a look at. Someone asked how much this phone is. I'm not sure you want to know. This is, I think, a 1,500 quid phone. I went for the 15 Pro Max 512 because I wanted the extra storage space. So I think if you're going to go for it, you got to go for it. It is a phenomenal looking phone. I really like how it looks. It is incredibly fast. It is very, very good in many, many ways. And there are actually some really good upgrades over the 13 on this phone. And just to quickly cover them, right? The phone is dramatically faster. Okay? That's number one. Number two, the speakers on this phone are dramatically better than this phone. Okay, than the 13 Pro Max. Just the ambient noise, everything. The cameras are better, although Apple are doing some fluff with the cameras. You've only got 3 lenses and 3 sensors, and I do like the new zoom, but they're sort of going, you got multiple focal lengths on the main camera. You haven't. It's nonsense. You've got 24mm, which is standard crop, and then you crop in digitally beyond 24mm. Everything else is nonsense. I think it's got some really nice features. The ProRes RAW recording is good, but I'm not sure it's worth it. But in the end, for me, and the weight is dramatically lighter than this one. They say 10%, but I think it's a lot more than that. But in the end, it isn't the difference that it's going to cost me. Apple offered me for... Oh, no, we don't want that one. For my 13 Pro Max, they offered me £510 trade-in. And that then comes off this, which leaves a bill with Apple Care, because I always get the full Apple Care on them, of about 1,200 quid. And I'll be honest, it's not 1,200 quid better. It's just not. It's better, but it's not 1,200 quid better. And that's where I'm at with it. And as much as I'd like it, it's going to go back. Now, there is something else that has slightly annoyed me in this, and that's partly to do with the trade-in as well, because they agreed 510. And if I just go back to the overhead, for my original 13. What's annoyed me a little bit is they're actually selling these on the Apple Refurb website for 850 quid. Which I understand they need to have a markup, but they're giving me 520 and selling it for 850. I know they've got to refurb it. I know they've got to do stuff, but I just feel they could have given a better deal for people who are sort of in this upgrade role with them on it, you know. And I cannot say it is 1,200 quid better by the time I do Apple Care. It's as simple as that. It's great. I think it's a nice phone. As I said, I would more than happily use it every day. There's nothing I don't like about it. I just can't warrant the cost difference. Someone said, I just sold in the used market. Yeah, I was looking at pricing and it isn't great on the used phones. And look, I'm not even saying it's an expensive phone. I don't actually think it is. And people may not agree with this. I am a person that has no concerns with spending over 1,200 quid on a phone. And I tell you why. I use it more than any laptop. I use it more than any other piece of equipment. It is an absolute tool for me. Genuinely, it is a machine. I bought a new laptop like a year ago and it barely gets used. The phone is everything for me. The phone is absolutely everything. It is my world. I cannot live without it. So I really don't mind spending big money because I do get the use. For me, the problem here is this is still an amazing phone. And the difference between that and that is just isn't enough. Chiller said he sold his for €900. Nice. You did. If I could have sold this for 900 quid, I'd be all in on that tomorrow. Oh, that wouldn't be going back. That wouldn't be going back. If I could sell this for 900, I'd be there. Yours is the 512. Mine is the 256. So I'd get a little less. If I could get 800 quid for this, I'd be all in tomorrow. And just 520 is not enough. And I've been looking on the trade-in sites and I've been looking on the other sites and it's just not enough. Kind of like GoPro 11 versus 12. 100%. 100%. And the funny thing is, every time I've used this, it came Friday, I've been using it over the weekend, and I've been jumping between the two phones over the weekend, actually, quite a bit. That's why I didn't erase this one. I kept them both running. And it's phenomenal. It's really quick. The weight difference is substantial. For anyone who's using a 13 Pro Max, the weight is a big factor. In the hand, this does, over time in the hand, I do struggle with this. That is so much better. But not 1,200 quid better. And that's the problem. So... But I got the new one just because I have a carry for €1. But my resale price is only going to go lower. Yes, I agree. What I would get for this is only going to go lower. But if I got another 12 months out of this, I'm then into the 16 territory. I would rather, the way I feel today is I would rather get nothing for this in a year and buy a 16. But the motivation of USB-C, yeah, there's not enough money in the USB-C. USB-C is not that much worth it for me. I can live with Lightning for another 12 months. I have plenty of Lightning cables. There's no issues with Lightning for me for the next year. And it's got wireless charging. It's a non-issue, isn't it? You know. So I've sort of hemmed and hawed over this all weekend. Maybe once they proper USB 3 speeds. Well, you do get that on the Pro Max. You do get USB 3 on the Pro Max. It's too much of a difference for so little. I'll be honest, the speaker difference is massive. I was shocked at the sound difference. I really was. Yeah. Cell phone carrier. Yeah, saves you 60 quid, which is more than it would give you cell phone carrier. Yeah, and look, and it's wait a year or two, might even more. And that's the thing. If I wait... What I actually didn't know is this, before we move on from this. Like, when I buy these, I get 2 years Apple Care on them. I go for the full Apple Care, the full loss, everything, okay? And that's coming to an end. I didn't realise you can actually extend it. I thought once it ran out, it was a bit like DJI's care that you couldn't extend it. But what I've since found out, the Max has USB 3. But what I've since found out is you can speak to Apple as long as it's within a month of your Apple Care expiring, and you can then pay for it on a monthly basis. So I can then extend that out. Yeah. So you had a phone for 200 quid a year. That's the thing. Whereas compared to the new one is going to be 600 quid a year. Your current one now is 500, but in 2 years it's more than 200. So yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm paying about 50 quid a month is what I'm roughly paying. Yeah, if you're paying £50 a month, that's 600 you save over the year. 13 will be more than 90 in a year to offer you 510. So yeah, it's great. And it is. Tear it down. Did you see the jerry rig knife, a jerry rig everything video? Oh my God. Please do a tear down before you return it. I wish I'd have had the balls to do that. The jerry rig everything. But it's hard to upgrade now. It's like new GPU. Even the money, I can't make more than one kind. Yeah, exactly. And what I found this decision really hard because I actually really like the phone. But I think it also just shows how good the 13 is. The 13 Pro Max is a phenomenal phone. It is an absolute powerhouse of a phone. Is there a way to Raiders and I to see if my HDZero optics are loose? HDZero optics, they're loose. Just shake the goggles back and forth and you'll see the optics move. You will physically see the optics move. Yeah, and just to give you an idea, my battery, before we move off on this, my battery on this after nearly 2 years, we're not quite 2 years yet. But if I go to my battery health, I'm at 87%. So that's where I'm at. But I am going to extend the Apple Care. So I'm still going to pay a bit more because at the end of the day, I still want coverage because I do drop phones regularly. I've never broke this. Touch wood. I have never broke this one. But yeah, 87%, which is pretty good. Yeah, under 80 and the battery should be replaced. Yeah, agreed. But if I do the Apple Care as well for another year, that will mean I can get a battery on that. And I don't know how much it'll be a month, but even if I'm paying, right, let's just say I pay £60 a month for a year for the Apple Care. I'm quids in. I'm just quids in for another year. And maybe in 6 months' time I'll feel different. And again, I'm really on the fence of this decision. If they had given me $750 for this phone, this wouldn't be a decision. If I could sell it locally, if I could sell it for $750, it wouldn't be a decision. What I've noticed, no, £60, not £60 a month, £60 a year. I was just thinking, if the Apple Care is like £5 a month, extending it, it was 240 quid for 2 years. So it's going to be back at 120, I reckon. It's probably going to be 8-9 quid a month for Apple Care. But I'll go for the basic one on this one without the loss protection then. I can't. Hello, everyone. So yeah, that's the plan right now. XR to the 14, and I was shocked about the phenomenal sound upgrade. Yeah, I've not tried a 14, so I can't comment. The big difference between the sound on these two was huge. Yeah, even if it's £10 a month, 120 quid a year, I'm still quids in. I think. I don't want to do this math too much because I'll end up with that. And I've been looking on like Facebook Marketplace locally to me, and these are all like 550 quid. That's the annoyance. That's the annoying bit. They're going really cheap in the UK. Yes. Okay. So that's the iPhone news. That's going back. Kobe, yesterday you showed a quad with HDZero Freestyle with 2 VTXs with GPS next to it. Does it work with the new VTX at such close distance? The answer to that is yes and no. So, my findings will go into the video, but the findings are that it is not as bad as the first one, but still affects it. What I had to do is this. If I turn it on with, and let me just find it a minute. Overhead. So I put it here on purpose because I wanted that to sort of be the worst case scenario. Okay. When you power it up here, it will not get GPS lock. Okay. However, if you use something like I've got here, the Wi-Fi GPS, mate, allow the GPS to get lock before powering up the VTX, it will hold and it will continue to work fine. So it is definitely better than the V1 because the V1 would just wipe out whatever happened. You couldn't even do that on the V1. However, on this, if you use the GPS, mate, it will get lock and that lock will stay and GPS will work in flight with it located there. What it won't do, though, is happily get lock there. Now, I've put it there on purpose to be the worst case scenario. Okay? I think it's definitely improved, but it still isn't perfect. You know, most people are going to have it out back here. You should always have separation. And look, I even did it on purpose with the GPS wire goes over the top of the VTX to make it as bad as I could. Worst case scenario is what I wanted to demonstrate. And in this, with the GPS, mate, it's fine. But without, it isn't. Yeah. So it is better, but it's not perfect. iPhones are repairable. Loss protection is the only thing worth paying for. Yeah, look, I always pay for the Apple Kit. I do like Apple Kit. How hot is too hot for the VTX? I have a Walksnail VTX on a car that gets to 87 degrees. They will all get to 80 to 90. That's perfectly normal. But you may want to get some airflow. I am a Jedi. You may want to give us more information on the new FPV glasses from Cadex. I don't know anything about FPV glasses from Cadex. Android for life. Never owned one. I've used many because I have one for work and some other things, but test stream. I didn't realize this was JB's time. Is he on? I was just doing a test. Okay, let's get through the mailbag, shall we? So that was the first thing on the mailbag. We had an iPhone. The second thing on the mailbag is this. We'll get to the drone in a minute, but I'm going to show you this. Right, eSun reached out to me and said, hey, would you be interested in taking a look at some of our filament, especially our high-speed filament for the Bamboo and Creality printer? And I was like, yeah, I'll have a look and we'll print some stuff and talk about it. And they sent me one spool. One spool. So anyway, what they've sent me is EABS high speed in natural color. I'll print a few benchies on it and I'll let you know how I get on. Stop, this is enough attention for one spool. Does anyone know how much this stuff is? But yeah, very fast. Apparently it's specifically designed for the high-speed printing. So we'll do a speed benchy on it. I do appreciate it, eSun. But one spool. I just chuckled. It was just like, wow, why didn't you just send like a few on a reel? You know, 10 turns. You get 10 meters. Tell us what you think. No, JB is taking a month-long break. I thought he had. Something has arrived, though, and this took absolutely ages from China. And that is this. It is the Flywoo Flies. I don't know how you pronounce this, but it is the 85. I know everyone has probably got their reviews out on this already. This took like ages to arrive. And I mean like ages to arrive. But it's the fly. Oh, what is that word? I can't. Fly lens. Oh, sorry. It was, yeah, I couldn't read it the way it was looking. So the Fly Lens 85. No, I don't know how all the others come. This one is the Express LRS edition, 2.4, 2S. Comes with the Robo 1003 motors, 14,800 kVs. The Groku flight controller F405 2S. Very nice AI. MPU 6000 as well, which is good. I don't know if they all come like this, but in the box, I've got some LED strips, different colors. I don't know, do they do that in all of them, but I got some extras. I got 2 batteries, 1000 milliamp hour 2S, which is good to see. I'm guessing you don't get 2. Yeah, I think it's a bit bigger than the Pavo Pico. You would call this a bigger quad. There's a bag with cables and stuff in, and it is an 03 quad, but it doesn't come with 03 as standard. And then you get the quad itself, which comes in this plastic wrapper. Now, I need to find a way in. Should we stab it? Bigger with 03 is better. Yeah, definitely. A bit of extra size helps. They always send their quads like this shrink wrapped. There we go. So, 85mm. TPU battery strap. We've got XT30, Express LRS mounted there. Antennas included for DJI 03 already, and you can see the wires going through there. It is designed to be used with an 03 Lite or an 03 Ultra air unit, which means I'm going to have to do another one. Or take the one out of the Pavo Pico, which I don't really want to do. I'll be honest, I like my Pavo Pico as it is, but I think I'm going to end up having to take one apart to put in this, which is a little bit frustrating. I wouldn't have minded just doing another conversion, but I haven't got another conversion kit. Really, I think they should be including the conversion kit with this drone, just to confirm they're not. No. Are they? No. No, I'm not seeing it there. I think probably what be a good idea would be conversion kit, two blade props, 03 thing underneath. Should we see how it lights up? Oh, wow. Okay. I'm in love. Oh, man. Okay. That looks amazing. That looks absolutely phenomenal. Let me just turn the overhead light off. That light is definitely getting in the recording. Yeah. Yeah, with that camera up front. Yeah, it looks like something out of Velocidrone. That is phenomenal. And what LEDs? We've got white and pink as well. I love the blue. That looks... Oh, man, I can't wait to try that. That really looks sweet. I know it's a gimmick lighting up, but I want it. Yeah, that's the thing. It's the same when you have bling on your gimbals. You want it, don't you? Let's be honest. Just looking around it, let's get in a bit closer just to give you guys a quick view. So we've got a soft-mounted camera up the front for the O3 camera. Soft-mounted bracket, really nice to see. Definitely a different setup to the Pavo. We've then got the Express ELRS antenna at the top with the O3 antennas there. We've then got that 750. Well, that battery is not going into that strap. There's another strap included in there. I don't want to open that yet because I'm going to need it for the review. Really pleased about this. Really, really pleased about this. No, you can't change the LED color. You can change the LEDs though. They give you there are packs of LEDs available. You just can't change the color. This is not really those LEDs. It's like those neon. It is LEDs. It's the mini neon style LEDs. What's really good here, like, let me just focus that camera a little bit better. Woohoo! There. USB on the top for connecting. Finally, an easy located USB. Nice to see. Really, really nice to see. Carbon fiber frame, which looks really nice and solid. Don't know how durable the ducts are going to be. We're going to have to wait and see. They don't include additional ducts in the kit, which is a bit of a shame. I would rather most of these manufacturers put a second duct in and charged a bit more. And then if I look down in there, you can see there's a harness in there for the LEDs. You can see that down there. And then there's a pre-wired O3 connector ready to go. So plug and play for O3. Antennas are there as well. So it's literally ear unit light, plug in. More of a proc guard than a duct. Yeah, you are right on that. Duct probably isn't the right term. I think that looks a nice quad. That does look a nice quad. Let me just do something because I got something in my head. Yes, the bling. The bling. You can't beat the bling. It makes this look actually quite dim. But yes, that I like. I like a lot. That's... We likes that. We likes that a lot. So I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to tear the ear unit out the Pavo Pico. Your stream won't stop skipping. Try refreshing the screen. Copter-wise, I like bling. Yeah. I'm going to have to tear down the Pavo. I saw the Rotor Riot Special Edition Boxer and I wanted to puke at the chrome buttons and knobs. Oh, I think chrome is nice. I like the gold Boxer Max. I do like it. Someone gave a super chat just now. I've just realised. I just want to say a massive thank you. Let me get my mouse to where it's gone. It's disappeared. Thank you, Corner, for CHF 5, whatever it is. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. Use Avatar for this one. I bloody could. I absolutely could. It's designed for O3. But I could put Avatar in there. Do an open IPC test video. No interest, sorry. Open IPC is still... Look, Open HD may have some legs. Open IPC won't. S Avatar. Yeah, I'm just thinking that with Avatar. It means I don't have to tear my Pavo Pico down. What did I do? What quad did I put the new VTX in? I don't know. I can't think what quad I put the new VTX in. So there's the Pico. Did it go in a quad? But it's not in there. Oh, I know. I know what quad I put it in. I put it in my analog quad. That's what I did. I took the analog out of my only analog build and put it in that. I could put the new Walksnail into this. Do they say 03? 03 Lite. Or, here we go. We put Avatar into the Pavo Pico. Yeah, it'll definitely fit. It would definitely fit. But it's a pig. Optimized for 03. Nicely played. Nicely played. The problem is, see, it's been designed for 03, and you know, look, I've been sent it to review based on it being designed for 03, so I really should show it with 03. But he says, I could put Avatar in the Pavo Pico, which would take even more weight out of this, which is an interesting prospect. Or I order another 03 kit. When things don't fit, just make them. Yeah. Look, it's not a great challenge getting 03 out of this. It's not a biggie. It's only going to be a couple of cable ties and it'll be out. So it really isn't end of the world. Yeah, I think the problem I've got is I need to be able to comment what it's like with the 03 ear unit because it's designed for it. So for me to review it as being designed for the 03 ear unit Lite, I need to use it with the 03 ear unit Lite. I have to, you know, you have to be fair like that. I couldn't say, oh, it's great on Avatar. I can show it with Avatar, and I might do both. Yeah, funny enough, I was just thinking that. It's not going to be great shakes to get that out. But I am actually thinking this would be better with Avatar HD because it'll take the weight down even further. So, yeah, it's fairly easy to switch. And looking at it, you've got this bottom cover down here. Where's the overhead? There it is. You've got this bottom cover down here, which, looking at it, that screw. I tell you what, it looks really well made. I'll say this. It really does look very well made. They've got these nice little clips for the wires, look. Yeah, Pico with Avatar, Flywheel with 03. I think that's a good balance, actually. So, yeah, I really like the look of that. Obviously, it is bigger. It's a bigger quad, without doubt. But, yeah, really interesting. Now, what else have I had in the post? Let me just move something. Let me just move this out of the way a minute. Whatever this, just move that down by there. Oh yeah, let me just move that as well. Not sure what you're talking about. People just accusing me of things. I better put this back in the box. So how's the stream? Is the stream still working? Because I do actually need to review this. And you will all know, when I do the unboxing, you'll be going, man, this isn't the first time he's unboxed it. We saw him do it on a live stream. I'm telling sir. Thank you, Flywoo, for sending this over. This took forever to come. And I mean absolutely forever. This was like 4 or 5 weeks to come. Which is a problem I don't usually have. So, yeah, there it is. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, I'm on Envig. Omar, I'm on Envig. So, for those who missed the start of the stream, this is a test, really. It wasn't designed to be anything other than a bit of a test. I'm recording at the same time. We're back on Envig. I did some tweaks. I reinstalled all the NVIDIA drivers, cleaned them and installed them. And then I did some tweaks to OBS based on some feedback specifically of the error I had. And I think I had a number of things going on in the background, which just, I think, were causing problems. Not in the PC, in OBS. Resolution is low. Interesting. Now, I have made a change on the way it... Let me have a look my side on that. Oh, it's cleared up a bit. Oh, you're on Envig. I thought your room was just cold. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not running CPU usage at the moment. Yeah, I think it was a 1080p. How does it look in 1080? Does it look okay? Are we smashing the GPU? GPU's barely getting used as well, which is good news. This GPU, we're using NVINC, so just to go to the desktop, or maybe not. Okay, so right there, that shows I haven't. That's interesting. So clearly I haven't set that up properly. Oh, wow. What's going on here? 1 second. Let me just fix this little issue I've got. I think changing the drivers. Hey, there you go. I think changing the drivers, it hasn't set the displays up properly. That's something I'll need to do off stream. I didn't check that. And is NVIDIA working? Wahey! Ooh, no, not that one. That one. Still got some tweaking I need to do. It's ignoring that box. There we go. There's some little things I haven't quite set up properly. That was a setup issue, not a OBS issue. But yeah, if you just look, that's what we're smashing on the GPU. So video encode is doing really well. Yeah, that looks pretty good. We're not doing too bad at all. And CPU usage is now down to 19%. We were, 75, 78% last night. So, but yeah, that's good news. So we are back. I use an adapter. Use the Pro Cam. Oh, yes, I know what you mean. So yeah, we are recording this live as well, just to make sure. So we're using what? GPU-wise, 35% usage whilst recording, 1080p. It's fine. But yeah, I did a couple of tweaks in OBS, removed a bunch of presets which were no longer used. I had a bunch of audio stuff that I used to use before getting the Rodecaster Pro that I'd sort of forgotten about. And when I transferred it into the new build, I think it caused some problems. And I also had a load of unused scenes and sources that OBS was trying to poll on startup and stuff like that. So I stopped all of that. And it seems to have resolved the problem. Seems to have. Today, DJI have launched something new. I will talk about this quickly, actually, as I'm recording it. You never know, I might put this out as a video. Yeah, Cadecs are still very much pushing this. They definitely very much are pushing whatever this is. Just putting this back over here out the way. Here we go. Just very much still pushing whatever it might be. We'll have to wait and see. But today DJI launched... what's going on? Today, DJI launched this, the Mini 4 Pro. It's not very exciting, I'll be honest. It's as exciting, I think, as the iPhone 15, I'll be honest. But what's actually interesting about it is that DJI have introduced O4. Now, I'm going to come back to this because there's something else that's hit my mind that I forgot about. Something more important. Right. Today, DJI have launched the new Mini 4. And it is the Mini 4 Pro, I should have... I'm confused. Right, I'm going to try that again. Today, DJI have released the new Mini 4 Pro. Now, alongside that, they have quietly snuck out, I should say, a firmware update for the Goggles 2 and the Goggles Integra that introduce support for the Air 3. Now, whilst that in itself may not sound a lot, that is the first time we have seen DJI officially mix O3 and O4 products, because the new Air 3 is O4, as is the new Mini 4 Pro. But these goggles are actually O3, and DJI have now brought official support for the Air 3 on these goggles. If you connect these to Assistant 2 for FPV, you will be prompted to update. Now, there isn't an update for the O3 Air unit. It is only for the Goggles 2 and Integra, but it does finally bring support for the Air 3 on these models. And as I've said, the real interesting thing is the fact that we now have official mixing of O3 and O4. Now, I've always been firmly convinced this is fine, it's not going to be a problem, and we now have the first evidence of DJI doing that. Now, obviously, DJI have released the Mini 4 today, which also has O4. But what is interesting about it is a little bit of a cut back O4, okay, in the sense of when we go to the specs, they are allowing in the specs up to 60 megabits a second data rate, which is much higher. 60 megahertz carrier, which is potentially 75 megabits a second. But they're only using 4 antennas on the Mini 4. Now, for those who don't know, the Air 3, again, can have up to 60 megahertz carrier, probably 75 megabits a second, but has 6 antennas, 4 transmit, 6 receive, and that's the real big difference with 04. Now, someone has just asked, it's quite an interesting question actually, what is 04? 03 is just video encoder with O2 link. Is 04 still on the O2 link? So 04 is a new chipset. Okay, so 04 is no longer using the old chipset we were using before. So the chipset was originally the P1 and the S1, which was both 02 and 03. 02 is the P1 on its own. 03 is the P1 with, say, the E3T media processor. They offload the video processing. That's 03. 04 is officially a new chipset called the S2. Now, the difference between that is it now allows up to 60 megahertz carrier, whereas the original system was limited to 40. So if you remember, you've got 20 megahertz carrier, which is 25 megabits a second, 40 megahertz carrier, which is 50 megabits a second, and then 60 megahertz carrier, which should give roughly 75 megabits a second of data rate. And 04 supports up to 6 receive and 4 transmit antenna lanes. Now, there is some other differences, but the easiest way to think of 04 is DJI basically have a new chip that they're mostly just using for the RF front end, and then you're using the media and processor to do the rest of the work, and that's what they're continuing to do in 04. So what's really good, though, is for the first time we have an official confirmation of a mixture of use of 03 and 04, or at least the P1 and the new S2. The 03A unit was released relatively recently. Do I expect the 04A unit soon? That's complicated. I would not be shocked, but it might not be for reasons you would normally assume. And I talked about this last night on the stream. It all depends how many of the original chipset DJI's got left. What I don't see DJI doing is continuing to make the original chipsets. Now they've got a new one. So there may be a natural need for them to migrate to the new chipset, which would be 04. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't be compatible or interchangeable. So here is a scenario. You could have a new set of goggles and a new ear unit, which is 04, which supports, say, higher bit rate, up to 70 megabits a second, and the goggles might have 6 antennas. Whereas that would still be backwards compatible with 03 in theory, and still work with the 03 ear units. It doesn't have to mean there's a stop. DJI have been dragging their product stacks out longer, but they may move forward on this if they're low on supply of the original chipsets. And you have to understand that chipset is used in everything. Everything OcuSync is either using the P1 or the S1, or now the S2. So if we start with the consumer drones, Mavic 3 onwards, so Mavic 3, Inspire 2, all of the big stuff is using the P1. DJI transmission is P1. Ronin transmission is P1. FPV is P1. Both FPV systems are P1. It's in all their enterprise products. It's in the smart controller. It's in the high-end remotes. It's in all of that. The S1 is then in the Air line and the Mini line, as well as the RCN1, the DJI RC, and the DJI cheaper remotes. So those two chipsets are in everything. Now, the S2 is set to replace both of them. So it really will come down to how much supply of the original chipsets they've got left, I think rather than doing a tape out, they will probably just migrate to S2. Do I expect the S2 to be ever to be compatible with the goggles 2? Yes. Technically, there's no reason it couldn't. Goggles V2. There is still an S2 03 ear unit, an 04 ear unit, really wouldn't be that much different from an 03. However, whether they would bring an update is another question. I don't think they would go back to the V2s. Yeah, limited to 40 megahertz. It would have to be because the P1 can't do 40. The S1 can only do 20. So that's why they can't use the S1 in the 03A unit. They have, because it's limited to 20 megahertz carrier. They and there's some other stuff as well, but they have to move to the P1 for the 03, or probably S2. You could even see a refresh of the 03A unit, calling it 04, and it all being compatible, and they'd have no... Are the V1s of any use now or later? The V1s will continue to work with the original system, but you won't see any development on them now. They will be over. They will be a dunner. But what is interesting is this update is the first time that we've seen official mix of S2 and P1. This is the official first time. And what's actually quite amusing in this is DJI are shipping the... they've probably got to. They would. I was about to say they're shipping the drones with a new RC, an RC2, and an RCN2. But they would have to because they're based on the S1, which is limited to 20 megahertz. That's why they're having to do it. Sorry, something's just clicked in my head. That's, but yeah, Mini 4 Pro. I've seen a lot of nonsense about this today. People saying the first true Pro Mini drone. I genuinely don't think these can ever be called Pro. You know, you've still got a nonsense quad Bayer sensor. Look, as nice as it is, let's not pretend. Look, where's the nonsense here, right? Let's get down to the camera. 48 megapixel. No, it's not. No, it is not. It is a 12 megapixel sensor that is quad Bayer. Quad Bayer is not pixels. I'm sorry, it is not. That's why single shot, 12 megapixel and 48 megapixel. 12 is the actual resolution, as is the iPhones as well. It is not 48 megapixel. It is cheating. And if you don't know what quad Bayer is, you are basically slicing each color site up again into 4 smaller pixels. So if you imagine a standard Bayer setup on a sensor, and the easiest way for me to explain this is show you. Sensor battery? No. So a camera sensor typically looks like this. Oh, that's not the right image. Let's find a better one. Where's it gone? No. That's a better one. So a typical camera sensor looks like this. So you've got a Bayer setup, which is 2 greens, a blue, and a red. Okay, so green is your luma. So that is 1 pixel. Okay, so that square is 1 pixel. That then is 1 pixel. That then is 1 pixel. What they do in quad Bayer is you take this red and split it into 4. You're still red, but you split it into 4. You take this red and split it into 4. Now, the reason you can't see the mouse. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at it on OBS. So, this square here, let me change the color of my mouse. Let's have something that will be easy to see. Try that. That's not easy to see. This square here is a pixel. That square there is a pixel. Contains 2 greens, a red and a blue. 2 greens, 1 for Luma, red and a blue. Okay? What they do in a quad Bayer is take this red pixel in the top corner and split it into 4. And take the green pixel and split it into 4. Take the blue pixel, split it into 4. And take this green pixel and split it into 4. So if we search for quad Bayer, what they do is then sub-pixel it like this. There you go. That's a real good example there of a quad Bayer sensor compared to a normal one. Now, what the benefit is of a quad Bayer sensor is that it allows for more realistic differences across the area of the pixel. So that will have its own lumens level, that will have its own lumens level, that will have its own lumens level, and that will have its own lumens level. And what they can then do is average them to give you an output like you see here. And it should, in theory, give better image quality. Does it give more resolution? Yes and no. Because that pixel can only see green. Right? So if you think there's a circle here in the middle, which was blue, only that corner is going to see the blue. The rest of this will have an effect as a result of the color, so the lumens, but it won't be able to show it as blue. In theory on this, if that circle was there, it would be the same scenario, but that wouldn't influence these pixels. And as a result of that, it technically means there's more resolution. However, what a quad Bayer sensor doesn't have is absolutely more resolution. It isn't 48 individual full 3-color pixels. All you are doing is taking a 12 megapixel sensor and carving up the color sites. And that is where... And I'm not even saying it doesn't. I have a 48 megapixel phone that allows raw 48 megapixels, and despite it being fake, there's a lot more detail. Yeah, and it can be done. Does it allow for RAW on the Mini 4? You know what? I don't know. Let's have a look, shall we? JPEG and DNG RAW, yeah. So you got JPEG and DNG RAW. Video H.264 and H.265 up to 100 frames a second in 4K. What's the bit rate? 150 megabits a second. That is decent. To be fair, that is decent. Perhaps I should take back that pro comment. 150 megabits a second is no slouch. So 4K 30 at 150 should look pretty good. However, it won't be 4K 30 at 150 because it isn't. It never is. What DJI don't do is expand usually into the full bandwidth of the codec. So for instance, that H.264, H.265 at 150 megabits a second will probably be at 100 frames a second in 4K. You will probably find at 30, it will be 120, something like that, which is a bit of a shame. You can't get it into that full 150. That's usually the case on these things. 04, 1080p up to 60 frames a second. Interesting. So, what are they saying here? 1080p 60, available when the aircraft is flying in photo or video mode. 1080p 30, when the aircraft is flying in video mode. 1080p 24, when in standby mode on the ground. Interesting. Also note, they are officially now showing 5.17 to 5.250 gigahertz. That is officially a DJI band now. Remember my video on 03 doing it? It is now official. 33 dBm in FCC at 2.4, 33 dBm in 5.8, and 23 dBm. And if you notice, look, CE. 5.1 gigs CE. And this is why I've said the 03 Air unit will go into 5.1 gigs now in CE mode over here. Yeah, it looks interesting. But as you say, 4 antennas. So they've reduced the amount of antennas on the Mini. 2 transmit, 4 receive. Whereas the Air 3, yeah, semi-pro. CE mode is UK, Europe. And if we look at the Air 3... I don't want the DJI store. I want DJI. And if we go to the spec on the Air 3... Sorry, I got a cold. Do they tell you how many antennas on the video? Gimbal, sensing, video transmission. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, see, 6 antennas on the Air 3. 2 transmit, 4 receive. That's interesting. Only 2 transmit. I thought it was 4 transmit, 2 receive. That's rather interesting. That's wrong. That is wrong. I don't think that's right. Semi-pro, yeah. Hardware, chips, and software seem to be the 10-year progress and not the sensor or lens. That is very loosely about right. Yeah, look, there's a lot of clever stuff going on in photography and cameras now, especially like on that iPhone I was talking about earlier, but it's all software. You know, you're not seeing hardware improvements. Don't get me wrong. Apple have got that new lens, that prosumer. That's a good year. They got that new lens. DJI don't buy anything. It's all license-free band. That band is all license-free. So those bands are free to use. They are designed for public use. That's why all of your cordless telephones, your wireless doorbells, your Wi-Fi routers, your smart devices at home, all either use 2.4 or 5.8 gigs. 5.1 is just a new license-free band in Europe. There is a new 5.1 license. I can't remember when that was released. I can't remember when it was released. It's not a Wi-Fi. It's a Wi-Fi band. Channel 36. So, yeah, it does still exist. But it's all free license, free band. Right, guys. This completely impromptu stream is going to come to an end. It was never planned. It was not meant to go on this long. It's 11 o'clock. I was meant to be recording a video. But this has actually worked tonight. So that's a bonus. thank you for spending some time with me. It was a quick test video of at least an hour and 10 minutes. I'm glad it's working properly. Tune in Sunday night. Do you think a petition for DJ would want us? No. Nah, I don't see them doing it. I just don't see them doing it. DJI doing a Whoop board. I will be back Sunday night, probably with problems in OBS. But just to prove it can behave, this is it. Stay safe. Thank you for the super chat, my friend who delivered it. It was actually worth £4.48 is what it was worth. I still don't know what the currency is, but I do appreciate it massively. Stay safe. I'm going to find the end. I'll speak to you soon.